Hello everyone. Let us continue with the data mining concepts. In this video, we are discussing about the classification algorithms. Data mining algorithms can be divided into two, supervised learning and unsupervised learning algorithms. Classification is an example for supervised learning algorithms, whereas clustering is an example for unsupervised learning algorithms. Now let's discuss about the supervised and unsupervised learning methods. In the supervised learning methods, it uses the past experiences for gaining new knowledge. Okay, so it learns from past experiences for gaining new knowledge. As we know, the computers do not have any experiences. Instead, they collected the past data. Okay, so these machines learns from the data which are collected in past. So the historical data is used for learning, and this set of data can be called as training set. Okay, so the set of data that can be used for learning is called training set. Okay, fine. It is called supervised because the process of an algorithm learning from the training set can be thought of as someone supervising the learning process. So we are given with the training set which consists of the labeled values. Okay, so everything is there in the training set. So based on that training set, we are classifying the new set. So we are having one data set. So that data set will be supervising the learning process, right? So it can be thought of as someone is supervising our learning, and that is why this learning process can be called as supervised learning. Okay, in this supervised learning, we are having the input variable x and an output variable y. Then by using this algorithm, we are learning the mapping function y is equal to f of x. Okay, from the input to the output. So we are having y is equal to f of x. So y is the output value, x is the input variable, and f is the mapping function. So by using an algorithm, supervised learning algorithm, we can learn the mapping function y is equal to f of x. In the case of unsupervised learning, we are not at all having any supervisor. We are learning without the presence of a supervisor. We are not at all given with any training set. So the class labels of the training data is unknown here. Okay, so we are not having any labeled data set. The class labels are unknown here. Okay, but we need to find out the data pattern. So we need to group it. We need to classify it. Okay, or we need to some way we have to find out the class labels. So it is a self-guided learning algorithm which uses a set of measures or observations with the aim of establishing the existence of classes or clusters in the data. Okay, so we are observing the given data. We are not at all having any supervisor for observing it or for helping us. So instead of that, we are using some measures or using some observations. We are establishing the existence of classes, or we are grouping the data based on some similarities. We can cluster the data. Okay, so clustering is an example of this unsupervised learning. We can cluster the data based on some measures, based on some similarities. Okay, so the algorithms like k-means, genetic algorithms, etc. are some of the algorithms which are using this unsupervised learning concept. So this supervised learning, it consists of two types based on the target. So it can be either classification or prediction. So if you want to predict the categorical class label, then the classification methods algorithms have to be used. And if you want to model the continuous valued functions, then it is a prediction problem. So two types based on the target value. If the target is a categorical value, then we have to make use of classification methods. And if it is a continuous value, then we have to make use of this prediction problem. Then what do you mean by this categorical and continuous value? Categorical means we are given with a single value. Categorical, age is equal to 18. Okay, fine. It is a categorical. Whereas continuous value means age is in between 18 to 35. So it consists of a set of values, that continuous values that starts with 18 to 35. It can be any value that will be within that range, right? So it is a continuous value. Okay, so this to predict the categorical value, we can make use of this classification, whereas to predict the continuous value, we can make use of this prediction. Classification is the process of finding a model to predict the class of objects whose class label is unknown. Okay, so we can predict the class of the newly arrived object. Okay, it can be used to extract models describing important data classes. So with the help of this training set, we can predict the class labels of the new objects whose class label is unknown. Now let's look into some examples for this classification task. We are given with a task for categorizing the email messages. We want to categorize it into two classes, either a spam class or the non-spam messages. So by looking into the features extracted from the message header and the content, we can categorize the email messages into two classes as either spam or non-spam. The second task, we want to identify the tumor cells. Okay, so by looking into the features extracted from the MRI scan images, we can identify the cells as either infected one or not infected one. So that one is also an example for this classification task. And third one is cataloging the galaxies. So by looking into the features extracted from the various telescopic images, we can categorize these galaxies into the various classes like elliptical, spiral or irregular shaped galaxies. Okay, so we are categorizing the given data into various categorizers, various classes. The classification is a two-step process. The first step is model construction, that is learning the model, and the second step is model usage, that is applying the model. Okay, so for learning the model, we are using the training set. Okay, so we are building the model using the training set. Each record in the training set consists of an attribute called the class label, which indicates which class that particular row or the record belongs to. Okay, so in each training set, in every training set, we'll be having a particular attribute called the class label, and which indicates the class of that particular record. Okay, so based on the training set, we are learning the model, we are constructing the model. And the model that is produced will be in the form of a decision tree or in the form of a set of rules, or it can be in the form of a neural network, etc. Okay, so after constructing this model, we can apply this model for classifying the new data. So we are given with a test set. So in the test set, the class label values are unknown. Okay, so we need to find out the class label values. Okay, so we can apply this constructed model for finding out the class labels of the test data or the new data. Okay, so after checking the accuracy of the model, we can use this constructed model for classifying the new data given in the test set. Okay, so this is the two-step process of the classification process. Various classification techniques are there. So some of them are decision tree based methods, rule based methods, k-nearest neighbor, neural networks, deep learning, Naive algorithm, support vector machines, random forest, etc. So among this, let us focus on this decision tree based method. So it is a flowchart like tree structure, and topmost node on the tree represents the root of the tree. Internal node denotes a test or condition on an attribute, and it is represented using the rectangle. Branch represents the outcome of the test, outcome of the condition. and the leaf node represents the class labels, and it is represented using the ovals. Now let's look in an example. We are constructing the decision tree based on the training data. In our training data, we are having 10 different samples, and we are having some attributes like homeowner, marital status, annual income, and default borrower. Among this, the homeowner and marital status, they are categorical attributes. Annual income is a continuous attribute, and default borrower is the class attribute, is having the class value. Okay, so this default borrower consists of two values, no as well as yes. So based on this training set, we can construct the decision tree. So this decision tree can be constructed based on some classification rules also. So we can represent the classification rules in the decision tree model. Okay. So among these various attributes, we are taking one of the attribute as the splitting attribute. Okay, here we are taking homeowner as the splitting attribute. Similarly, we can take marital status as the splitting attribute, or in annual income as the splitting attribute. So how we'll be selecting the splitting attribute? So if you're having many attributes, we have to select one based on some measures. Okay, so information gain is one of the measure, Gini index, gain ratio. We are having various types of metrics are used for selecting the splitting criteria or splitting attribute. Okay, so one of the attribute will be selected for splitting this training set. Okay, so here homeowner is taken as the first splitting attribute, then comes the marital status, and then comes the income. Okay, so that rectangular color, that yellow color ones represents the attribute name, and the leaf node, which is represented in the blue color, so that one is the leaf node. That leaf node consists of the class labels. Okay, it always consists of the class labels. The class label will be, it is a binary one, so it consists of only two values, either no or yes. So every leaf node will be having the class labels. Okay, here also we are using the same training data, but we are having a different decision tree, right? So in this case, we are starting with the marital status. So this marital status is selected as the first splitting criteria. Then comes the homeowner, then comes the income, right? So that means there could be more than one tree that fits the same data set. Okay, so that means we can have more than one decision tree which fits the same data in the training data set. So based on the training set, we constructed a model which is in the form of a decision tree. Okay, fine. Now using this tree, we need to find out the class label of the test data. That is, we are going to apply this model, okay, to the test data. So in this case, the homeowner is no, the marital status is married, annual income is 80K, and we need to find out the defaulted borrower. The defaulted borrower, it can be either belongs to the no or yes. So we need to find out that. So from this tree, how we can find out this label, class label. Okay, so we can start from the root of the tree. We'll be finding out one of the attribute as the splitting attribute. So the homeowner is selected and the homeowner value is no. So we'll be moving to the right branch. Marital status is the next splitting criteria. So from the marital status, the value is given as married. So again, we'll be moving to the right branch. From the right branch, we'll be reaching the leaf node. The leaf node is labeled as no, and so this no is assigned to the default borrower. Okay, so based on this test data value, we'll be traversing this decision tree to find out the class label. Okay, so we starts with homeowner value. The homeowner is no, so we move to the right branch. Then we will be checking the marital status. The value is given as married. Again, we will be moving to the right branch. There we are given with the leaf node. So that leaf node value is assigned to the default borrower. So this is the method, this is the way we are applying this model. That is we are using this model. Okay. Now let's look into the methods for constructing the decision trees. So this uses greedy top-down recursive divide and conquer strategy to generate the decision trees. So it uses the greedy method. The divide and conquer strategy is used for constructing the decision trees. Okay. So at start, all the training examples are at the root. Okay. Then each leaf node represents the class labels, and each internal node of the tree partitions the data into groups based on the partitioning attribute and the partitioning condition of that node. Okay, so the tree will be having the root node. Initially all the samples will be at the root node. Then it will be having a leaf node. This leaf node represents the class labels, and it will be having an internal node. That internal node will partition the data into groups based on this partitioning attribute and the partitioning condition. Okay, and these examples, all the examples are partitioned or split out recursively based on this selected attributes. Okay, so among these various attributes, how can we select the splitting attribute? So this splitting attribute can be determined by using the measure information gain. Okay, so the attribute that gives the maximum information gain will be selected as the splitting attribute. Okay, so this all the attributes in this classification model should be categorical one, right? So the attribute which is having the highest information gain value will be selected as the splitting attribute. We'll be having different types of measures for finding out the for selecting out the splitting attribute. Here we are making use of this information gain. Okay, how can we calculate the information gain? The gain of the attribute A is equal to info of D minus info A of D, where info of D is the entropy needed to classify the tuple in D, and info A of D is the information needed to classify the D. Information needed means after using the attribute A to split the D into V partitions. Okay, so using this info of D and info A of D, we can calculate the gain of the attribute A. Okay, and using this value, the attribute that gives the maximum information gain value will be selected as the splitting attribute. Okay, and this process, this partitioning process will be continued recursively until we are meeting with a stopping condition. So what all are the stopping conditions? Look into these stopping conditions, stopping partitioning conditions. The first condition is all the samples for a given node belong to the same class. If all are having the same class, no more partitioning is possible. So that is one of the method for one of the condition for stopping the partitioning. Then the second one is there are no more attributes left out for further partitioning. And the third one is there are no more samples left. Okay, so if all the samples belong to the same class, or if no more samples left for partitioning, or if no more attributes left out for further partitioning, then we can stop this partitioning or splitting process. Okay, now let's look into the algorithm for constructing the decision tree. Okay, so algorithm for decision tree induction. Okay, fine. So to this algorithm, we need to give the training set. So this training set consists of m records as well as n attributes. So it consists of m rows as well as n columns, right? So we have to pass records as well as attributes as parameter for building this tree. And finally, we will be generating a tree based on this records and attributes. Okay. So to start with, we are creating a node n. Okay. And if all the records in the training set belongs to the same class, then we are returning the node n as a leaf node with labeled as C. Right. So if all the records in the training set belongs to the same class, then the leaf node also is labeled with the same class label. For example, if we are having 10 records and the 10 records all belongs to the class S, then the leaf node also will be labeled as S because we are trained with only the S values, right? So the computer is learned only with the S values. So whatever be the test data, it will be classified as S. Okay. So if all the records belong to the same class C, then we are returning the N as a leaf node which is labeled as C. Okay, fine. And the second step is second stopping condition. If the list of attribute is empty, means we are not at all having any partitioning criteria, right? So if attribute list is empty, then also we have to stop this partitioning. We have to return a leaf node which is labeled with the C, and this C is selected based on this majority voting. Okay, that is majority of the records in the list will be having the class label as C. Okay, so we are returning the leaf node. At that time also we are stopping the partitioning. So we are stopping the partitioning if all the samples belongs to the same class, or if the attribute list is empty, we are stopping the partitioning. Okay. If the attribute list is not empty, fine, we are going to select one of the attribute as the splitting attribute. As we said earlier, we are selecting the splitting attribute based on some measure. Here we are taking information gain as the measure. Okay, so the attribute which is having the highest information gain will be selected as the splitting attributes. Okay, we are given with n attributes. From among the n attributes, we are selecting one of the attribute. That attribute will be having the highest information gain. Okay, so now we selected one splitting attribute. So in the trained set, we are having, for example, in our set we'll be having the attributes like homeowner, marital status and income. So among these three attributes, we selected the first splitting attribute has homeowner. Okay, so we selected one of the attribute. This homeowner is selected. Why this homeowner is selected? Because this homeowner is having the highest information gain. Okay, fine. Okay, after this selecting this attribute, what will be the next step? We have to form the branches, right? Right. So we are labeling this node with the attribute. We are labeling that node with the homeowner, right? The homeowner is the attribute name, splitting attribute name. So that node, we created the node n. That node n is labeled with the splitting attribute. Okay, homeowner, we are labeling it with the homeowner. Okay, fine. Now we are having one node which is labeled as homeowner. After that, we have to form the branches from the homeowner, right? So what we have to do, when we look into this training set, we can see that this homeowner will be having two distinct values. One is yes and the second one is no. So we'll be having two branches from this homeowner. One is for the yes and the second one is for the no. Okay, so for each known value of the splitting attribute AI, what we have to do? We have to add a branch from this node for the condition AI is equal to Vj. So the first condition is S. So whenever this homeowner is equal to S, so that one will be moved as the left branch. Then similarly, we are adding a branch with AI is equal to no. Homeowner is equal to no. We are adding one more branch. Okay. Then after adding the branch, what we have to do? We have to find out the records who is having the value yes for the homeowner. Similarly, the set of records who is having the homeowner value as no. Okay, we are going to partition based on this splitting attribute. Okay, so we are having a subset Sj with the subset of records where the splitting attribute is equal to the condition Vj, the value Vj. Okay, so here we are having two values, yes or no. So the first Sj will be having the subset of records where this homeowner is equal to yes. Similarly, no. Okay. In our first case, if Sj is empty, if Sj is empty, then we are adding a leaf node. That means based on that S, we are not at all having any more records. So we are adding a leaf node. We are going to stop that partitioning further. So we are adding a leaf node L with class label C, that the C will be selected based on the majority voting concept. Okay, and we are returning that leaf node. Okay, if it is not empty, what we have to do? We have to add the node returned by build tree. That means so if the set of attributes, if the subset of attributes is not empty, then what we have to do? Again, we have to start constructing the next tree, right? So that means we have to construct the next node, then the branches from that node similarly, right? So we are calling this build tree procedure again. We are calling it recursively until all the samples will be having the same class, or all the if the attribute list is empty. Okay, so based on that stopping condition, we will be stopping this procedure. Okay, so this is the algorithm for constructing a decision tree. So we are creating a node. If all the records belong to the same class, then the node will be returned as the leaf node with labeled as C. The second stopping condition, if the attribute list is empty, then also we are returning it as a leaf node which is labeled as C. That C is selected based on the majority voting. If not, if all the records are not belong to the same class, or if we are having more than one attribute, then we have to find out the splitting attribute. We are selecting one of the attribute as the splitting attribute. That one will be selected based on the information gain. Then we are labeling that node with that splitting attribute. Then for each known value of that splitting attribute, we are adding a branch. Okay, and we are checking the records who all belongs to that branch. If that branch list is empty, we are adding a leaf node. If it is not empty, again we are calling this tree, this process tree construction. So this procedure will be repeated until no more samples are left in the training set. Okay, so this is the method for constructing a decision tree. Now let's look into some advantages and disadvantages of decision tree. So the various advantages are, it is having good reasonable training time, fast application, easy to interpret and implement, it can handle a large number of features. And the disadvantages are, it cannot handle complicated relationship between the features, simple decision boundaries, and there's a problem with dealing with missing values. So in this video, we discussed about the supervised and unsupervised learning algorithms, the two-step classification process, the algorithm for constructing a decision tree, and with some examples, right? Thank you.